This is feedback session for November. It's end of November, and we will go through paintings, and I will start to share. Where's my, oh, here. Share screen. Okay. So last time I missed email from a student, and in case I answer to all emails I receive for feedback sessions, and if you don't receive a reply from me that that I received your work, try to reach me again, or maybe through Patreon messages, through Facebook messages, because here with Barbara, we have an issue. I don't know why. It happened already many times. She sent me work and I just don't get it. And then I send her test email, then she replies to that email and I receive. So in case I'm not replying to your email, it means that I didn't receive it, or it maybe went to spam folder. So please reach to me again. I'm not doing that on purpose. I'm getting which emails I get. I reply to them that received. I can reply even with one word if I don't have time, but I will reply. It's important so everyone is noticed. And yeah, because email providers now work as they want. I know that from my experience. I send email to a certain person that already has my emails previously, and they just don't get it. It's yeah, it happens. So don't take it personally. Please reach to me through others. Then we have Facebook group, Patreon chat, Patreon messages, Instagram DM, so we can find each other. Okay, we have a poinsettia in a more complex composition, which is really interesting, and those leaves are overlapping. So this is like a guide for this painting, and it is amazing. It's interesting how you put them all together. And let's have a closer look. What I can see, maybe I would add more these, especially where the cast shadow area, where leaves are overlapping each other. I would add more of the cast shadow area. For example, like it is here. It's nice and beautiful, and it really gives the illusion that one leaf is on top of the other and casting shadow. So for example, I would add more here, definitely in these sections, more careful here, so it doesn't look like a line, but more like a shadow. I would add a little bit more here. Also here, the more subjects we have in composition, it will take more work and more study on your own, because you only have this reference, which means you need to think more rather than look. You don't have a reference as a guide, so you are mostly painting from your imagination, especially with shadows when they overlap. I would add more shadows also here and here. This is let's compare. This is nice area. Maybe I would add a little bit more. You don't have a line here, which is great, but I would add, sorry, I will turn my phone on. These lines are not working for the shadow. I would add the same as you did here. I would do the same here. Yes, and also here. Again, this area is nice. You don't have a line. You have a nice shadow. Also, I would do the same here, more gradual. Here, you see? It's this section. It's really hard to tell which leaf goes on top of which, because there's just these lines. Especially, this is a really confusing area. Shadow, definitely shadow. But it's already great. It's already great. You put a lot of effort, and I can see that. And those leaves look so smooth, and it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. I would add a little bit of work, especially for those shadow, and it's really working. It's nice. And then we have a beautiful pine cones. And I especially like these edges that you created. They give this illusion of thickness of each this pine cone section thickness, and it's really nice. Also, these evergreens are beautifully done. Maybe this one needs a little bit more work. This one is already great. I would add darker areas here where these white edges are going into the depth of the pine cone. They are going and they are in the shadow, which means they are a little bit darker. Just a really transparent wash of brown, and it will do the thing that they will look that they are going into the shadow. Maybe more contrast in this area. Look how it is darker here in these areas. And to separate these, this section, I would add shadow in these areas, deeper in the, not on the outer parts, but in the inner parts. Evergreens, great. I would not touch them. They are looking gorgeous. Yeah, a little work on pine cones, but yeah, especially this area, and these white edges could go in more in one level up. And then we have a dog. It's not first time for this dog. It's improved version of a dog, and it's really nice, really nice. Yeah, you made this part darker. And the eyes part, yes, it looks nice. And those ears, and looking great. Maybe this part of the this, let me show you, this upper part of an eye could go into the shadow. Compare these sections. You see here we have a cast shadow from upper not eyebrow, I don't know how it's called. From this part, there's casting shadow on the inside part of an eye. You have here a white spot, but you don't need to have a white spot. Let's zoom in closer. Here we have a cast shadow. It would be nice to create also here. Mm-hmm. Yes. And of course we can make this, but I would not touch it. I would not touch. You have already, it's not a big deal. Yeah, a little bit calm down this white section. And what else? What else? What else? What else? Everything else looks good. Looks good. Maybe this area, this part can go a little bit darker. But again, it's up to you if you want to put more effort to this painting. But it's already really good. I think you are happy with the result. It looks good. It looks good.
Thank you.
It's nice. Nice. Okay, now we have Amaryllis from Christmas Painting Challenge. Oh, let's make it a little bit bigger. Okay. I would add a little bit more contrast to the inner part, but it's especially this one, it shouldn't be so light. it's a little bit confusing. What is this this edge? It also goes into the shadow in the depths of the flower, so it's in the shadow. I would add cast shadow here. This is beautifully separating petals, and a little bit of here, but it's already really good. And just a little bit more darker this part to make especially these edges of this petal a little bit darker, but it's already really good. All the petal veins are going into the right direction, so it looks already good. Let's move it. Then we have Christmas tree. And this was really a fast illustration painting, improvising with the Christmas tree. It was my first time painting Christmas tree. I wanted to do for a long time, and I really enjoyed that many of you also did it, which is amazing. And yeah, everything is good with this one. Everything is good. What I can suggest, if you enjoyed this, you can push yourself with each new maybe reference. I picked it on one evergreen growing web page where they grow evergreens, and yeah, you can find the spruce you like and try to paint it, because here the main thing what I was looking for is for shadow parts, the negative space. I wasn't thinking about these each branches and how to paint each needle. No, I went for the shadow parts, then half tones, and then left the lightest ones just with one layer. You did also really good. Light is coming from left side, and we can see that the shadow part is more on the right side. This is a quick illustration. I think you're also happy how it looks. Then we have cranberry. And okay, let's see. Maybe a little bit more contrast to the bow, but it's up to you if you want it to be a little bit more contrasty. I would leave a little bit of light on the left side of the of this stem, so it's more three-dimensional. You see how it is here. Everything here is correct because this part is casting shadow on the stem, and we don't see light, almost none, just a little bit. And leaves are great. Berries, maybe a little bit more contrast here and there, but altogether it's a really good illustration. It's it would be such a nice Christmas greeting card. You can go to local printing office and yeah, order them and make them a greeting cards. I think that this is a lovely painting. Okay, I don't need that. Then we have a mandarin. Here we have a reference. And I would like a little bit more light on the left side. Because we see in the reference, and you went a little bit too saturated with this pigment, which looks like maybe perlin maroon or even a touch of perlin violet. Be careful. Just a little bit more subtle, these mixes and transparent layers. And then these lines are a little bit too thick, especially this one shouldn't be here, because here we have, this is completely the shadow part. Even the white areas, these white things on mandarin's fruit, they are in the shadow. And if we compare light area to the shadow, even those white spots are darker. They're not the same light as they are in light. but you have them the same, which makes this confusing. Skin is really good. I would leave this part lighter because let's compare this inner part with this inner part. This is completely exposed to light, which is making this the lightest part of the whole composition. If I squint my eyes, then this is the lightest part. It would be nice to leave it light. This is great. This is in the shadow. Also here, these little things, this is great. And the thickness of a peel is also nicely done. Just a little bit too saturated. You went with watercolor mixes. With yellows, it's super, super hard to manage these shadows. Yellows are the most difficult in watercolor painting, even more difficult than white flowers, because yellow pigment is really tricky to make it clean shadow color. Sometimes, yeah, it can look dirty or overpainted, oversaturated, like in your case. And yeah, here you lost this lightest part, which is completely exposed to light. Then we have Red Bow. This is not from the challenge, it's from previous years. This was first Christmas bow I was painting, and let's have a look. And it's beautifully done. Maybe these darker edges are maybe a little bit too dark, and they are taking too much attention from the whole composition. They could be in the same watercolor mix as is the main bow watercolor mix, and now it looks like it's dark perlin violet, and here and here. But other way, it's really good. It's really good. All the contrasts are in places. Maybe be more accurate with edges, but again, it's a matter of practice. I know that, and I also tend to have sometimes shaky hand and my brush go over the edge. It's just a thing to take into consideration when you are transferring outline. Maybe make it a little bit smaller, and after you are finishing, then you can carefully go and correct edges. How you can correct them, like for example this one here, like making it a little bit bigger, but careful not to completely change the form of the subject. Yeah, but these dark lines shouldn't be there. But again, maybe you like it how it looks, these darker edges. Yeah, ribbons can be with dark edges. This is not like a flower, and we have lots of different ribbons, and maybe there is a ribbon with the red ribbon with dark edge. Then we have a graphite rose, really complex one, beautiful. What I have to say first, if I compare rose with leaves and I look into the reference, then leaves of course stand out, and they're making that rose pop more vividly, that is bright. And I would add a little bit more contrast to the leaves, especially this section. They are all together. Let's check this section with, want to move this a little bit, with the reference. Like this. So, okay. For example, this one behind the stem is really dark. You can go darker. This leaf can go darker. This one can go darker. Then this one carefully. This one looks like a rosebud. And this one also is beautifully done. This one can go a little bit darker. I would add a little bit more darkness to the leaf. The more you will add darkness to leaves, the more flower is going to pop from the surface. But flower is done amazing. You have, this is full rose, and I think it's French rose variety where they have these petals curled inside, and you done it amazing. Also, this leaf is amazing. This one can go a little bit darker. Just if you have time and patience, I would add a little bit more contrast to leaves, and it will make this all composition even more eye-catchy. Let's check what we have. This, yeah, and here we have another example of yellow painting, and here is the same issue with shadows. They are really tricky with yellow flowers, and many professional artists are avoiding to paint yellow flowers just because it's really tricky. There's the thing you need to add violets underneath, or mix reds and greens. It's really tricky to make this subtle, for example, the subtle shadow. You for any other pigment you can layer, and it will, with each new layer it will become darker. With yellows it's not working. You can layer, and it will not go darker. It will not even cover graphite marks. After 20 layers, graphites will be visible. That's how yellows are tricky. And here, I don't know, it looks like you used maybe quinacridone gold, or yeah, I can see here more red rather than gold here. A little bit of red together with yellow I would add for the shadow, but again, carefully and transparently I would add that pigment. Then with these green ones, here's also reds. Look that in the shadow. And more light to the stem would be nice. You see, upper part is in the shadow and the lower part is lighter. To create this illusion that the stem is round and three-dimensional, we need these tonal values. Also here, it looks like light source is coming from right, a little bit different than we used to with the other tutorials. Here I can see that the light is shining on the stem from the right and the shadow is on the left side. You have here a little bit of light, but a little bit more would be great. And if we compare, for example, let's see, this green part to these parts, this one is much lighter and these are darker. You have them the same, and it's confusing to understand where is light coming from. Yeah, but again, yellows are tricky, and you are doing this, which is amazing to practice and see for yourself. Maybe you also noticed that it was quite tricky to paint with yellows and to create this three-dimensional look. Then we have this big project of yours started. You already showed at the beginning of the session that you continued, and wow, this will be quite a journey, especially with the center part of anemone flower. And but you have it enlarged, which makes it easier to paint little details. don't rush with this part. You transferred all the direction of these not stamens, these are stamens and anthers. I don't know the scientific name of this part, the center part of anemone, and don't lose this direction that you have it here. You have it transferred, which is great. Follow these. You see they go here to the center, here to the center, and here to the center. So don't lose this outline. Slowly and carefully add shadows in between them. It will take time, but you can, for example, you have time to do this work. Set goal for that painting session, not to finish something, but for example, I will work today on this part, and that's it. Just put yourself in some boundaries and don't set like huge goals. Oh, I want to finish the whole center part. Then you will rush things. I would suggest work each section at a time, and better to prolong it, to make it longer and more enjoyable, rather than rush it in 1 to 2 sessions and then be maybe disappointed that you rush things. Every time you have time for painting session, or maybe today I will paint these 5 stamens and that's it. And better to leave this painting while you have still energy. Then you will be more, then you will give more attention to this painting. These complex paintings are requiring a lot of patience, so don't underestimate this work and don't test your patience like with little chunks. Paint with little bite pieces of this whole composition. Definitely don't rush. Don't make it a goal to finish all these anthers and stamens in one day, or all the center part. Make it longer and more enjoyable. Okay, don't rush things with this one. Then we have a raspberry in winter time. So yummy. It looks amazing. What can I say? It already looks amazing. With the stippling method, you got the this texture, this texture on the surface of the raspberry, which is amazing. Control of brush, super. What can I say? I think it's amazing. Of course, we can add a little bit more contrast here and there, but it's not required. It's already so good. I don't see the size. If it's the sketchbook page, then no, it's good size. Great, really beautiful painting. I think you should be really happy with your result. Oh, come on, zoom in closer. No, it's, oh yeah. Yeah, I'm looking. Beautiful. Beautifully done.
Yep.
Here and there, maybe this lower part. This one can go a little bit darker, but again, it's up to you. This part like is the darkest one. Yeah, if I squint my eyes, then I see that this reference, this part is the darkest one, and you could go a little bit darker, but it's really good. I'm just picking some little things that I can guide you to, but it's good. It's really good. You did a great work with this raspberry. And then we have this leaf from beetroot, and let me place them here like this to make it smaller. And okay, so these sections Could go a little bit higher, and this dark line shouldn't be here. A little bit more contrast here and here, but it's also really good, really good. Then what happened with this part? This is like some bug ate part of leaf, and I like these parts. These little things, little flaws on nature items or nature subjects makes them more natural looking in painting. So don't skip these parts. Don't think that, oh, it's ugly, bug ate that part. This is what makes the painting more interesting and more natural. Don't skip these parts. I would definitely left it there. And there's a beautiful underneath visible part of a leaf, which is in the shadow, which would make it more realistic, because it would give a viewer information that the backside of the leaf is curved and it's a little part visible here. This one, yeah. Something you left out and something you overpainted. This is like a golden part of this whole composition, but beautifully done leaf. And you have these light parts here, which is, a little bit more bumpier this could be, because, in the reference, it looks even more rounder. And careful with these darker parts of the shadow. A little bit more light on the stem would be nice. Sorry. But it's beautiful. Beautifully done. Just don't leave out little thing like insect bites. Or then we have a beautiful stippling. And I would add a little bit more contrast, especially this here. Look, it's much darker, and this one goes much darker. I would add definitely more contrast here, and a little bit here, and here. This center part can also go a little bit in the shadow, but it's beautifully done. You are making such a progress with this stippling. It looks like you found your a nice spot for expressing and enjoying the process. This was really a breakthrough, I think, in your artistic journey, finding this way of creating, a little bit more contrast. Also, this part can go, definitely this one, definitely this one. Okay, then we have clematis flower. Okay, let's check. Let's check what we see. This part can go darker. Just add to this little spot. You see there's this behind the other part of the flower head, which is this little part visible. You can make it this one. You can make it darker. You see? Let's compare this one to this one. You can definitely make it darker. I'm allowing you that. You did light great. You didn't lose light, which is amazing. Maybe a little bit more light on the stem would be nice. Remember to pay attention to stem, the same attention you put for flower head. The same attention goes for the little things like stem as well. Leaves are nice. A little bit more light to the stem would be amazing, but the flower is really good, really good. Just little this thing. Okie dokie. Then we have grapes. We have we have grapes. Also a tutorial, not so new, but really good. And I saw these grapes and I thought that was a long time ago. I should paint grapes again. I really enjoyed this tutorial. Be more careful with outer edges. Also contrast to the shadow can go a little bit more. Don't need to add these outlines. Look, this one doesn't have. This one also shouldn't have. Again, this one has a little wider this area, so you could go a little bit wider here. I don't know what happened here. Just a little, maybe too much of color went to this upper part, but again, that's completely okay. We are learning here. No worries. Next time, be more careful with outline. So it's important when you are transferring outline, or if you are even freehand drawing outline, all the little things are important. If we don't have them in our outline, we will not paint them. And I think the main thing for these little things is that the outline was missing, or you overpainted and lost the outline. So be more careful with outline and follow what we have in the reference. Also, light could be even more lighter. That will make these grapes even brighter in the lightest part and contrasty with the shadow. This one here could be lighter. This one here, don't need this little circle. Then these two are touching, and then this upper one is casting shadow on the lower one, which is also helping us. Cast shadow areas are helping us to establish these relationships. What goes higher, what goes lower, what is closer to the viewer, what is further from the viewer. Don't avoid cast shadow areas like these ones, and here as well. They are really our helpers to make something look realistic. Another mandarin. Where was the reference? Another mandarin. And here again, we have that this work can be painted a little bit more. This part can go into the shadow. This part can go into the shadow. And don't touch this one. It should stay this light. I would add a little bit more contrast here and all the way up here, also here, and definitely add a layer to this part, also to this whole section. Look, it's much darker, and leave this light. I would add a little more time to this painting. But you did great. This is not an easy. Painting yellows, it's not easy. It's tricky for me as well. So no worries, you did great. About this holly, great start. Very nice thin stem, great edges, but I would add a little bit more contrast, and you will see the more you will add contrast in the shadow, for example, here, this part of the leaf, this part of the leaf, this and this, the more these light areas will look brighter. That's the tricky game of contrasts. When you are leaving light as it is, don't touch it, only adding shadow areas, more deeper contrast, where you see in the reference this beautiful cast shadow area, this beautiful cast shadow area, and here will help to make it realistic. I also in this practice didn't go for super realistic results. I didn't add veins, but I add more contrast, which made this branch look more shiny and realistic. So a little bit more contrast here and there will help this look realistic. Then we have a red bow from Painting Challenge. and definitely more contrast. You almost overpainted the lightest parts. The shiny surface of ribbon is shiny, and it's the game again of with contrast. You don't have here contrast. I would definitely go for more contrast. Look, this whole area can go darker. This is much darker. Look, compare this area to this one. Then here we have a darker edge. Then the lower part to separate this curve, this bow, look, it's darker, then it's lighter, then it's darker again. Here is darker compared. So the more you will add contrast and don't touch the lightest parts, then the lightest parts compared to the darker shadow parts will look brighter. It's a matter of contrast. Paint a little bit more, just like an experiment. Don't paint a little bit more because just I said so, or you want a realistic result. Test this. You like for now, this red bow doesn't have light areas, almost. But if you will add shadow parts where we see shadow, you will see how visually your light areas became more visible and lighter. Consider this as an experiment. Try it. You will not regret it, but don't touch the lightest parts. This would be a nice experiment. Then we have mushroom. Okay, let's see. Underneath the mushroom, look, this part goes darker, definitely darker. Then these white spots on the lower edge of a mushroom, which is underneath the head, also in the shadow. If we compare these white spots to these ones, these are darker. Then this whole section is in the shadow compared to this section, which is in the light. So I would add more here and make these white spots a little bit calmer compared to these ones here. Stem is great. This part is good. Maybe this one can go in the shadow because this whole area is in the shadow compared to this one. And you can erase these graphite lines. We don't need them. Yeah, erase this one, this line, and it will look more rounder. This graphite line is like making an edge, but there's not an edge. It goes way back. So with round areas, we don't need not watercolor edges, not graphite edges, just erase this part, and it will erase because you don't have watercolors over this graphite line. Definitely erase it. Also here, you can erase it, and here, definitely erase it. I don't know why you added here gray watercolor mix. You could add it here yellow. Look how yellowy this little crack in the mushroom head is. But a little bit more contrast to this part, and definitely underneath the head will do the thing. Then we have another cranberry. More, you can go and paint a little bit more. You are like in the middle stage of this cranberry painting. And bow can go a little bit more with contrast layers. Leaves, don't touch the lightest part, but just paint here and there where the leaves are darker. This one is darker. This edge can go darker. This one, this one, this one. Then the berries also, this one can go darker, especially the right side. Also this one. This one, which is behind the front one, goes darker, and it will create this separation from these both berries and more contrast to the green bow, which will also make it more realistic. And don't touch the lightest part, just add more shadow to, more watercolor layers to the shadow area. What else? Another bow. The same as with the previous one. Consider this as an experiment and add contrast. Don't touch light areas. Now it looks like you lost light, but if you will add shadow where it is visibly darker, you will see how these light areas start to become lighter without even touching them. The same as with the previous one. I will not repeat myself. The same what was with the previous one. Look carefully where are the darker areas and add them to your, like this area. Look how dark it is here. Then here, this part is definitely darker. Okay. Oh, then we had an apple, which is here. Okay, apple. Apple, apple, apple. This can go darker. This part is great. Like this part is great. Don't touch it. This part can go darker, way darker, definitely darker. And carefully add a little bit darkness around this leaf on the right side, but not with the dark line, but with the shadow, like this whole area. Yes, this part. And it will make this leaf get away from the apple surface, and it will look for us, for viewers, that it's like sticking out of paper and it's looking more three-dimensional. About leaves, if we zoom out and squint our eyes, then this one can go darker and this one can go darker. Okay, these two can go darker. And another thing about the veins, they are much, much thinner at the outer edge of a leaf. Here, if we take a look at this leaf, look how these veins are almost disappearing. Of course, we can't paint them or draw them as thin as they are in real life, but we can definitely make them thinner as you have right now. But it's a great work you did. This part is amazing with all the leaf, and a little bit more contrast on apple. Make these two leaves darker and veins thinner. Right. Then I have, instead of red gift bow, we have a blue one, which is amazing practice to do. Like you have a reference of a red, and in this case, student had some blue pigments she wanted to try out, and amazing. This is a nice practice to for your eyesight, how you see all tonal values, and you are painting in different color, which she did, and it looks amazing. Maybe I would be more careful with this blue pigment that she took for the darker parts. I would go with the same color mix that we have around, only multiple more layers to make it deeper. For now, it looks a little bit that they are not related. Like the outer part is in one color, and then this inner part is in totally different color tone. If we look at this red, then the shadow parts of these outer parts are the same as the shadow part of the inner part. And if we look here, shadow part of an outer part is completely different to the shadow part of the inner part. I hope I make myself clear here, but yeah. Look, these shadow, no matter in or out, are related to each other, right? But here it's a little bit confusing then this inner part is in completely different color tone. Other way we see that they are both blue, but this blue is this inner blue is like more gray and closer to the black, and this one is brighter. I would do the same blue here in the shadow. It would look more realistic and more natural, but still great result, shiny effect, brush strokes, precision, great. It's just a matter of color tone, but again, it's my personal opinion. If you are completely okay with that, that's great. I'm not judging color tones. I do it really, really rarely because photos can make color tones differ, and we have our own likes and dislikes about color tones. I'm more about technique, but here I just wanted to show you this relation with the shadow areas, and maybe you just didn't notice that, or maybe you are completely okay with that. Another red bow, and here is this completely the same situation as was with the previous already two brows, so I will not repeat myself. The same, you almost lost light, you don't have contrast, do this as an experiment, add more contrast to the shadow, don't touch light, and you will see how light will start to look lighter even without touching it while you are working on the shadow. So this is a nice work to do, and to see how these illusions of visual effects are changing while we are not even working on that area, but working on different area, and the changes happen in the area that we are not working on. So look for contrast, for shadows, for darker spots, for darker areas, and don't touch light. Like, for example, this one here. Look, it's almost in the same tonal value, all this area. But if you will not touch this spot and only paint here, then this spot will become lighter. Try it. Okay, another clematis. And we have a reference right here. More painting could be nice. More painting would be nice. This part. Don't touch lightest part. Just add, look, these curved parts of flower head are darker. Also, tips, outer tips can go way darker. Look how dark and intense these tips are. And this darkness, you can a little bit even prolong, make it a little bit longer and make them thinner. They are longer and thinner. Shadow here. Yes. If you will add shadow here, it will look this tonal value of this upper part. Then about the stem, now we need shadow. Look carefully. It starts here on this lower part, then it goes here in the middle, and then it comes here. I would not touch the lightest part. I would add shadow right here. You rushed a little bit with the stem. Pay as much attention to the stem as you do for the main flower. They all are part of one composition. It doesn't mean that it's something smaller. It shouldn't be painted longer. No, pay as much attention as you do for the flower head, do for the stem. I would add more contrast to this, to flower, shadow to stem, and then a little bit more to leaves as well. This part of leaf is in the shadow. This part is also in the shadow, and this one. And use the same watercolor mix you do for this area. It looks like you took completely different watercolor mix rather than this one, but you can do the same, just add more layers. And yeah, work a little bit more on flower head. It's like halfway done. It's great start. It's in the process. A little bit more attention and love would benefit, definitely. Then, oh, that's it. That's it. Yeah, I think so. Another thing, I know that I have a lot of paintings on our Facebook group, but I ask next time, if you want to get feedback, send to my email address. I mentioned it in Facebook. I mentioned in the post about the feedback session, because for me, it's easier to manage that photo on if it's separately rather than it's in Facebook group. I can't zoom in, I can't add side-by-side reference photo. So, and yeah, who wants to get feedback? So please send to me to art@kristineart.com, but I always mention my email, and I will give feedbacks to those works that are sent to my email. Okay, so if you want to get feedback, I mentioned that send to my email. Okay, do someone who is here have question? Isabel, you need to turn mic if you want. Barbara?
Nope,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
good.
just starting, and I'm just starting to pick up some tips. So
Great, great.
I enjoy the process.
Oh, that's amazing. That's what we are here to enjoy every step of the way. I try to make these feedback sessions as gentle as possible because we are all at different painting stages. I receive maybe super detailed painting, and I will give feedback for that level. And even if I receive a complete beginner work, I still feel that it's super great work, and I will give suggestions for that painting level, and I try to be as gentle as possible. Okay, so if we don't have questions, I'm really thankful for ladies who joined in the beginning and now, and yeah, see you next month. We still have December during this year, and we will have some lovely painting sessions, and we'll see you next month. Thank you very
Thank you,
much. Thank you
Kristine.
for joining.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice
Thank
day,
you.
evening, or whatever you have in front of you. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.